All right, it's the 10th day of the pandemic. Today is March 20th, 2020. U.S. cases are 18,563 with, we're looking at 227 deaths. So not a huge jump in deaths from yesterday, and a total of 147 recoveries.
In the world.
Oh, 121 recoveries today?
U.S.? I don't know.
But yeah.
No, that's wrong. Yeah. But that was a pretty big jump in infections from yesterday.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, like we said yesterday, just kind of comes down to, they're just running more tests.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily representative of a giant spread of infection. But that being said, we're still those numbers on those tests are still probably 3 days behind what the actual infection is.
Yeah.
On top of just not being prevalent for... there's a bee right here, sorry.
It's a carpenter bee.
Yeah, just don't want it to get in the house. Yeah. But I would say today has been my most upset day. Not upset, but it was just
sad day.
Yeah, damn, this is real.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you experience the same things?
Not today, I don't think. I had a fine day. I think 2 days ago was my worst day.
So far?
Yeah. Or maybe it was yesterday, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
it's just anxious and sad.
Yeah, you built a garden out there.
I did build a garden today, made a raised bed.
We'll include a picture of that, I
Yeah,
guess.
we'll add a photo.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, it looks good.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, you got to do stuff like that, I guess. Although I've been planning to do that. I was planning to do that before Corona.
Yeah.
And now I just actually had some time to do it.
Yeah.
But you grinded for hours today, didn't you?
Yeah, I just sat in front of my laptop and just did work. Mostly to just stay busy. I mean, I got work I need to do, obviously, but I just needed to stay busy. This morning when I woke up, I was on Twitter, and normally we have the TV on, and I just kind of sit there and watch it. But today I just went to Twitter. I read this one tweet.
And it fucked up this whole day.
And it messed up my whole day. So basically, there's this university in the UK. It's called Imperial College. They ran a bunch of numbers on how this coronavirus outlook could be, and it's this published journal article. So I was looking through it, but then this guy made a thread of the journal article and just kind of summarized what they said. And so I'm just going to go through it really quickly. But he says, Jeremy C. Young. This is Jeremy C. Young on Twitter. So here's what would happen if 80% of Americans, if we did nothing to mitigate the effects, 80% of Americans would get the disease, 0.9% of them would die, between 4 and 8% of all Americans over the age of 70 would die, 2.2 million Americans would die from the virus itself. If it gets worse, people with severe COVID-19 need to put in ventilators. 50% of those ventilator people will still die, and the 50% will live. But in an unmitigated epidemic, the need for ventilators would be 30 times the number of available in the United States. So nearly 100% of people who need ventilators would die. If we overran the system. That would result in about 4 million deaths in the span of 3 months.
Jesus.
8 to 15% of all Americans over 70 would die. How many is 4 million people? It's more Americans than have died all at once from anything ever besides the Spanish flu. It's 4 times the number of Americans who died in the Civil War on both sides. It's 2/3 of as many Jews who died in the Holocaust. Americans make up 4.4% of the world's population. This gives us a total of 90 million deaths globally.
Jesus.
If we did nothing. Now, Now, so that was the if we did nothing analysis. Then there's this analysis. So, of course, the countries aren't doing nothing. The Imperial College team ran the numbers again, this time assuming a mitigation strategy. So, all symptomatic cases in the U.S. in isolation, families of those cases also quarantined. All Americans over 70, social distancing. The mitigation strategy is what you've seen a lot of people talk about when they say we should flatten the curve or try to slow the spread of disease. And it does flatten the curve, but not nearly enough. The death rate from the disease is cut in half, but it still kills 1.1 million Americans.
Jesus.
All by itself. The peak need for ventilators falls by 2/3, but it still exceeds the number of ventilators in the United States by 8 times. That leaves the actual death toll in the U.S. right around 2 million deaths. That's the population of Houston, 2 civil wars, 1/3 of all the Jews who died in the Holocaust.
That's with a mitigation strategy?
Yeah, and that's 45 million people dying in the entire world.
That's like a best case scenario?
That is mitigation. So finally, they ran... That's like basically what we're doing right now is mitigation.
Right, yeah.
What California just did today was complete quarantine isolation.
Right, shut down.
For 8 weeks. That's something. So finally, the Imperial College ran the numbers again, assuming the suppression strategy. Isolate symptomatic cases, quarantine their family members, social distancing for the whole population. All public gatherings / most workplaces are shut down. Schools and universities are closed. Suppression works. The death rate in the U.S. peaks about 3 weeks from now. A few thousand deaths. Then goes down. We hit but don't exceed the number of available ventilators. The nightmarish death toll from the rest of the study disappears. But here's the catch. If we ever relax on suppression before a vaccine is administered, the entire population, before the vaccine is administered to the entire population, COVID-19 comes right back and kills millions of Americans in a few months, the same as before. After the first suppression period ends, July-ish, we'll probably lift restrictions for a month, followed by 2 more months of suppression. In a repeating pattern without triggering an outbreak or overwhelming the ventilator supply, staggering breaks by a city could do a bit better. But we simply cannot ever allow the virus to spread throughout the entire population in the way other viruses do, because it's just too deadly. A lot of people we know would end up getting COVID-19, and it means millions of Americans would die. So how quickly will a vaccine be here? Last week, the 3 separate research teams announced vaccines. They injected vaccines into live persons without any animal testing.
Oh my God.
So that's what they did. And that's an extreme measure, as he says. Now, though, they have to monitor test subjects for 14 months, that's what he says here, to make sure the vaccine is safe. This part can be rushed if you're going to inoculate all humans, which has to be done. Assuming the vaccine is safe and effective, it will take several months to produce enough for all of us to have it, like the manufacturing process. So that means we're sitting in this thing conservatively for 18 months. And he goes on to talk more about it, but I don't know. That article they put out with running the numbers got me down.
Yeah.
And
Jesus. That's crazy.
because it really, like,
the scariest part about that is that it just comes back, at least for me.
yeah, you can't
stop.
This is it until there's a vaccine. Otherwise, it's just going to spread again. And that's like stuff I've been like battling in my head. Like, of course I knew that. Well, I guess it's not obvious to a lot of people, but like that's what I was thinking, and it just kind of confirmed it. So I don't know what to do, but I'm not gonna let, like, you can waste this 18 months or you could do something. So
true.
I'm gonna try to do something. I'm not gonna. You still have to progress. Life still goes on. You're still alive.
Yeah, don't feel like you're in an unusual situation if you feel like you're going insane,
Yeah.
or if you feel, like you're having an existential crisis.
Yeah.
Because this is
This is it. I mean,
yeah.
everyone.
Your feelings are valid
Yeah.
and warranted.
And so when it just like kind of justified everything, kind of broke down everything, the news, well, I don't know if it's out of preventing fear to the United States that they haven't like really broken down this article or this published journal article.
Who knows?
What the deal is, but I feel like they kind of pity patter around
Yeah.
serious issues like where the test, as opposed to we're here for a while.
All right. Well,
Sorry.
you guys know the drill.
Yeah, I mean, stay safe out there.
Stay safe out there.
isolated.
Yep.
See you later.
Later.